So I'm going to start with a little bit of not really tough love, but perhaps tough reflection. I would suggest that in these second interviews, some of what you're discovering is that you're not a good fit to work there. That's not because you're not getting the job. That's because you're not aligned with who they are. If you're not connecting in the interview, what makes you think you would connect in the workplace? If you're someone who on the one side is very presentation formal and on the other side very behaviorally informal, and you're perhaps interviewing with an organization that is less presentation formal but more behaviorally formal, that's a cultural stylistic disconnect. And you're either going to be the gravel in the shoe every day, or you're going to have to show up inauthentically with really strong adaptive behaviors every day. This is a mutual recruitment, mutual filtering process. So think about that a little bit as you go through the process. So we think about this as still being some sort of, it's not real. This is real. A few months ago, I completely reinvented my wardrobe. Now, this sounds like a very odd, why is this woman talking about clothes? Well, we're talking about clothes because we're talking about presentation. We're talking about how you come across on camera. My wardrobe was either too informal, because those were the weekend clothes. Those were the start of the pandemic clothes when you could get away with sort of the yoga pants and the giant sweater. And now we're doing professional over Zoom, or much too formal. And frankly, for me, too uncomfortable, because I had a very limited appetite for doing Zoom in 3-inch heels. There wasn't any point. Nobody could see my darn feet anyway. So I reinvented the wardrobe. I thought a lot more about how I'm going to come across in this. And I did a lot of research around changed business norms to figure out, how do we show up now? Personally, tank tops are not going to be a thing for me, but I am less formal than I was pre-pandemic. So considering, how are we showing up now for the now reality? There's a lot of talk about bringing our whole selves to work. I think we need to bring our authentic selves to work. I'm going to suggest we do not need to bring our whole selves to work. Not all of it, not all the time. What you're trying to do at this point is you're trying to get a job, and you're trying to get a job that aligns with your values and your career goals. You're not trying to make friends. So bring enough of yourself to show who you are in a professional context, but understand that this isn't yet that building connections and bonding experience. That will come later. And that we don't have those transitional spaces that we used to have. So it used to be that I could be warmer and friendlier during the bit where we were in the reception and getting a coffee. And then as we moved into the conference room, there was that sense of, this is the real interview, and we all sort of straightened up a little bit. And now it's all real interview. So you are on right from the moment that you enter a virtual interview space. There's not that transitional zone. You also talked about perhaps feeling a pattern where the first interview is going really well, and the second interview is going not quite so well. I'm going to encourage you to do some reflection. How are you preparing differently for the first interview than for the second interview? Now, I can't know the answer to that question, but I'm going to put some suggestions out there. You said they usually ask the same questions. You've got the answers. Are you sounding too predictable in the second interviews? Are you still deeply listening so that you can shape your answer? Or are you being a human and listening to respond, hearing those cue words and thinking, I've got the talking point for that? So maybe check if you're really deeply connecting. Are you doing sufficient research between the first interview and the second interview? We often do really great preliminary research, And then we forget to take it to that second level. We forget to really look into the individuals who we'll be talking with as well as the organization. We forget to look deeply at our own differentiators, not just our own qualifiers. You got past the first hurdle, you're qualified. At the second hurdle, are you the best, most qualified person? Are you, to Scott's earlier point, activating your network? Very few of us know people who can get us the job. Lots of us know people who can get us a conversation, who can, vouch for us. And I had a great example of this with someone that I spent time with yesterday. She knows someone at the organization where another friend is applying, and she was very transparent. She said, I can't speak to the quality of the applicant's work because I know him personally. I can speak to the content of his character and to his work ethic. That's a pretty great endorsement. So are you activating all of those next step things in the same way as you would for a first interview? I hope there's some food for thought in there.
Yeah, this is great. Just to let you know, I wasn't preparing for the second interview, so maybe that's what I need to do. So that's fantastic. Thank you very much.
No, my pleasure. I think the other thing, the second interview is where you really need to be moving from I want a job to I want this job. And if I don't know, if I can sort of tell that someone didn't really prepare for that second interview, then I don't feel that they want this job.